To say that I'm proud to be the president of Personalized Fitness for the last 22 years is quite an understatement. But as I tell people when they start with us, talk about our facilities and how wonderful they are and the fantastic equipment we have and our long history, I always tell everybody the reason we're successful is because of the most qualified staff in the Southeast. None of this happens, the 300 plus sessions that we do a week does not happen without an awesome team. And I want to continue today introducing you to the staff, meeting the team at Personal Edge Fitness with Charlie Marlowe today on the Personal Edge Fitness Podcast. Good day and welcome to the Personal Edge Fitness Podcast. I'm Garrett Williamson, president of Personal Edge Fitness and your host of the podcast. Thank you so much for joining us today. And as always, I want to tell everybody thank you so much for your comments, especially on our last podcast. I was glad to get the positive comments I did about level of wellness. Y'all know how important that is to me. And that's the reason why I end every podcast about that. So as always, I want to tell you how to get in touch with us before I talk to my guest here. You can contact us at area code 251-278-3343. That's 251-278-EDGE. You can also reach me at Garrett, Garrett, at personaledgefitness.com. Personaledgefitness.com, of course, is our website and our Facebook page. You can also hit me up on Twitter at TeamPE. So continue today talking to, introducing you to the staff. You know, I talk all the time about the success we've had and the as I said in the intro, the nice facilities that we have, the fact that we've been in business for 22 years, we've never had a contract with a client. We do look somewhere in the neighborhood of 300 plus sessions a week, but that does not happen without an incredible qualified team. And as I've said many times, the main reason why we're so successful is we have the most qualified team in the Southeast. And today I have one of our exercise coordinators with me, Charlie Marlowe.
Hey, Garrett. Good to be back.
Glad to have you back. And y'all seen, fans of the podcast have seen Charlie with me before. And actually, a little foreshadow, you're going to be seeing him a lot more coming up. We'll talk about that in a minute. But we've never really had a chance. We talked a little bit the first time you were on the show. We talked a little bit about Charlie, but I want y'all to get to know him and kind of how he got involved in this and why he's with us today. So you can see, you'll be able to see why we brought Charlie on staff and we've had so much success with him. So how did you get into this? Tell me a little bit about your upbringing. Where are you from?
Yeah, so I'm from Petal, Mississippi. It's a small town right outside of Hattiesburg. So grew up there.
Massive town. That's where the axis of the earth goes through is Petal, Mississippi.
Exactly.
No, it's a fantastic. I know quite a few people in Petal. It's a fantastic area.
Yeah, so loved growing up there and grew up playing sports, mostly football, baseball,
right.
A little bit of basketball, but not too much long in that one. And
probably a lot more longer career in basketball than I had, I promise you.
I don't know about that. Anyway, and then, so mainly football and baseball. And like I said, I love sports, started that at a young age, and played baseball all the way up until my 9th grade year of high school. Right. And then following my 9th grade year, was getting ready for football spring training. I was going through some physicals and stuff like that. Right. And my shoulder was kind of acting up, was popping in and out of place. And it was wasn't fun. But I mean, at the time I was 9th grader. I didn't really know what was going on. Sure. I just knew my shoulder was acting up. And so
was that so that wasn't because of an injury? That's just something you started noticing it?
Well. It wasn't anything that happened. It wasn't a sudden injury,
like an event or something
that I could recall. Like it was just something felt gradual. Like it wasn't anything I could remember a certain point where it happened. And so, anyway, I was going through a physical before spring training for football, and the doctor noticed my shoulder was not acting right, and so he's like, "You need to go get an MRI." So, okay.
I'm gonna back up a little bit because I know where we're going with this. This is actually fantastic, and a large part of the reason why you're here. Yeah. But I want to back up a little bit and talk about your family, about your folks. And I don't know, never talked about whether or not your parents played sports and what have you that led you to it, or was that what?
So my dad, he was a football, baseball, 2-sport athlete in high school, and he was a pretty good athlete. He had some college look to him, never played college sports, but and then my stepdad as well played football, and they both were a big influence in me growing up, coaching and stuff like that. So I had a good foundation of athletes coming from my family.
The G.I. Joe may or may not have happened, but the football and baseball certainly did. Right?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. So I had that influence there.
Yeah. And what about brothers and sisters too?
Yeah. So I have 2 brothers. My older brother's name's Cody, and then my younger brother Sam, and family means the world to me. I wouldn't be where I am without them, and I'm just very blessed to have them a part of my life.
That's obvious. That's obvious in the way you are with the culture of personal edge. It's obviously with your family now, and we'll talk about that in just a second.
For sure.
But I interrupted you. I like the way you were going with that because I know. Actually, I kind of know what this is leading to, obviously. So, but you said the shoulder injury.
Yeah. So anyway, I had to get an MRI, and turned out I had a torn labrum, so that was keeping my shoulder from staying in socket.
Right.
And so I had to get complete reconstruction surgery, and they had to go in, repair my labrum, and I was in a sling for several months, and then it wasn't about a year until I was fully recovered, able to return to not just, normally people go to physical therapy to get back to their normal daily living.
Sure.
The sport, and this is something I'm passionate about, is return to play. So once you get back to your normal daily function, where you can just do daily activities.
And you're saying this happened in ninth grade, is that right?
Yeah, ninth grade.
Well, I mean, I'm thinking about your identity at that. How long have you been playing, competitive sports by then?
I started playing football when I was in the 4th grade. So,
okay, you can imagine that's excuse me for interrupting, but you imagine that is basically. Well, I also know there's a large part of your identity we're going to talk about in a minute, but that's a large part of your identity.
For sure,
and so how long did this keep you out of play?
So I missed my whole sophomore year of football, and so that was really a hard point in my life because like we talked about, I mean, football was a big part of my identity, and I feel like the Lord used that time in my life to really show me that. Sports aren't everything, and they're not going to last forever. But He did use it for a specific purpose in my life. And so, anyway, the injury, it took me out for my sophomore year. And I was really looking forward to that year. It was first year of varsity, and I was looking forward to having the chance to, make a name for myself.
That's very pivotal. I mean, you're going from basically the freshman ranks into, stepping on the field big time. Yeah.
Exactly. So. Friday Night Lights, I was missing that for the first time, so I was pretty boned being on the sideline in shorts, and everybody else was dressed out. And so, anyway, I made a full recovery though, and to this day, my shoulders never caused me any issues, and so that was, I mean, that's awesome. Rehab, I did it the right way, and my shoulder's been fine ever since.
Who took you through that now? I mean, you said you, tell me about your therapy on that. So, because obviously that influenced kind of where you were going. So,
right. Yeah. So, I mean, I went to a PT in Hattiesburg, and, did that for several months, just getting back range of motion, just small basic strengthening exercises. And then once I was cleared, I started doing stuff with our athletic trainer at Pedal, and he was taking me through some more stuff that was geared towards sports and return into play. And so, that really piqued my interest. And not only really between just the people that helped me recover from my injury, it showed me just how I could help people in that same way, and I mean how I could relate to them, because in that point in my life I was in a really tough place, and now especially here working personal edge with clients that come in with different types of injuries, I feel like that really helps me relate to them because I've been there where I'm the hurt guy. I'm the guy that I'm not able to do what I once was able to do, and now I'm trying to get back there.
Well, losing, like you said a minute ago, that was a very pivotal point in your life. And I'm thinking that's what I was saying earlier about the fact that, I mean, you were headed on this pretty good athletic path, and it's kind of, you've seen it before. You've had relatives that have gone through it. I'm a good freshman, sophomore, I'm a varsity team, and go this, that, and the other, and bam. And so, you can imagine, and I don't know if any of y'all experienced this, but that's very detrimental at that age. As an adult, you're going to think about, oh, that's no big deal, somebody had an injury or whatever. But that's a big part of your life, and so I can see where it makes such an impression on you. So where did it lead you from there? Now you didn't. I know for a fact that you didn't finish athletics in high school.
No. So like I said, I came back my junior year.
Sure.
And I was ready to go. I was ready to let it loose.
Right.
And it didn't happen like I thought it would. I went through fall camp and stuff, and I was still running with the twos. And we had a guy in front of me. He was a really good athlete, one of the best athletes I've ever played with.
Right.
But he was also our star running back. But they had him playing both ways. And I mean, if you're familiar with football, ideally that's not a good situation. You want your workhorse to just play running back if that's his main position. And
but in a small town, small school, you see that a lot too.
Right. And so he was playing my position, outside linebacker, and starting running back. And so going into the first game, it was a big crosstown rival. Right. He was starting, and so I was rotating in and out with him, and had one of the best games I've ever had. I mean, I had
awesome.
10 plus tackles and a few big plays that
yeah.
That's why you play the game, is for the crowd and stuff like that.
And
so,
I'm sure that if he may be fuzzy on his wedding, but
right.
I know that game you've never forgotten.
I can pinpoint every place on that field where I've made a play, so
sure.
It's fun to go back. But anyway, so and after that, I won over the starting position, and awesome. I mean, it was the rest is history. I mean, and I loved playing there, and so I finished out those 2 years at Petal, and right. started getting a few offers, junior colleges and stuff like that. And I always told myself, I'm only going to play D1. If I get JUCO, like, I don't want to go that route.
Right.
If I get D1, then that's what I'm going to do. And then again, like, God had other plans,
right.
And so I ended up. A guy that goes to church with me at my church in Petal,
right.
he was actually the head coach of Jones Junior College, where I went.
Oh, wow.
Decided to go there, and they offered me. And so then, I was like, okay. I mean, they actually have some dudes that play there. I mean,
sure.
multiple Power 5 athletes are coming in there playing, and they had just gotten somebody drafted. And so I was like, okay, this is real deal ball. And so right. I went on a visit, and then decided to commit. And so then I went into junior college ball after high school.
Well, and there's a nickname for Jones as far as football is concerned. Is that right or not?
Are you thinking Last Chance U?
Last Chance U, but I'm thinking Football U also.
Oh yeah. I mean, they've definitely, since Coach Buckley's been there. I mean, right. they've been in the playoffs and state championship run, since he's been there. So they've got a great program going, put out a lot of good players.
And sure. A lot of them, there's quite a few of them that have come through that program that have left there and mm-hmm. gone on to great things at four-year schools.
Definitely, yeah. A lot of my former teammates for sure. So
right, I'm sure, definitely.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. That's what I like about that is obviously, we have most of the trainers that start with us. In fact, almost every one of them, except for, I believe, 2 trainers out of the around 50 that have trained at Personal Edge, were athletes. Mm. And I had 2 trainers that weren't, and they had very interesting stories themselves. And so that's very, very familiar. Whenever we're interviewing potential exercise specialists or whatever, we ask them, how'd you get into this field? And rarely, if ever, do we have somebody, well, I just, it was the last thing on the table and I just decided to pick it. There's a story behind every single one of them. You took the route that we see. You may not see it a lot. We see it. You being the audience may not see it a lot. We see it quite often, and that is you went through an injury yourself, and you were influenced by that, and that well, I mean, like you say, I keep saying this, but it's such a pivotal point in your life that you actually did that and went that route. So you went to Jones, and then where did you? Okay, that's it. I'm going to go somewhere in this route. How did that go?
Yeah, so I went to Jones, and I had a great time there. But the whole time I was playing, I didn't have that same love for the game that I did in high school, and
right.
I'm not really sure why. I mean, I knew when my 2 years were up that football, that wasn't my route anymore. I needed to go a different direction. But something that always stuck with me, even while I was at Jones, was I loved to train.
Yeah.
And just I loved the process of training and getting ready for the season.
Right.
Almost as much, if not more, than the
playing. Season itself.
Yeah. And so off season, running, weights, all that stuff. I mean, that was my passion. And so on top of my injury and learning about just serving people and how I can help them through injuries, I also had a passion for exercise and just
sure.
For training. And so that really, those 2 things right there are my foundation for what set me up to where I am here today.
Right. So you finished it. You finished at Jones, and before I get to that too, is that it's obviously somebody had their hand on this, because I mean that was so much of your life and so much of your passion all the way up through Jones, and you realized then you were like, well, I'm enjoying this, but this is not where I'm going. So where did you head after that?
After Jones, I went to the University of Southern Miss,
right.
and in Hattiesburg. Just went back home. Wanted to stay around my brother. He's 2.5 years younger than me, but he's
right.
a few years back than me in school, and so he was going to be a senior that time,
sure.
playing football, and so I wanted to be there to watch him play his senior year.
Fantastic decision to make. I mean, one thing, family.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Very important. That's obvious. But I'm very thankful. I'm sure you are too. That the college that you quote unquote settled on or whatever, because you want to meet this family obligation too. Not obligation, but pulling on your heart. But what a fantastic program to go into. I mean, Southern Miss's program is fantastic. Those of y'all who are fans of the show and also have been clients at Personal Edge remember Dr. Kathy Fuller, and you never heard me call her that, but she had a PhD or has a PhD, and was a graduate of the Southern Miss program, and their program is fantastic. We've had quite a few trainers come from there. So, her PhD was in kinesiology from there. So that's why I bring that up. So what a great school to
right,
go to.
yeah, I mean, that definitely had a influence in me choosing Southern Miss with their kinesiology program, and so but yeah, went to Southern Miss, and again, like, this is definitely where the Lord wanted me to go, because went there for my last 2 years of college, and ended up meeting my wife, Katie, and that's the whole reason we're in Mobile right now, honestly, is because we met, and she's in physical therapy school at South Alabama,
right?
And so that's what brought us here,
right.
And so I guess while I was at Southern Miss, another big part of my story there is I have to do an internship my senior year. Right before I graduate. Every student has to go somewhere, do an internship, and wasn't really sure where I was going to go. My first option didn't work out. And so then I hit up my old strength coach at Jones, David Queck, and I was like, Coach, like, I needed a place to do my internship. You got a spot for me? He's like, yeah, man, come on. So that was just an awesome experience. He really just took me in. I mean, and he actually included me in the process of preparing the workouts. We sat down in his office and we're looking at the whiteboard, like, what do we need to do this week? This isn't going to work, so how can we adjust this? And really let me have some ownership in preparing the team. And I mean, I kept up with those guys the next season, was rooting for them, and they had a great run. But so yeah, he was a big mentor for me, and just helping me really dive deeper into, like, okay, this is what I've learned in school this far, but let me put it into practice and see how it actually happens in the real world. Because just as much as I figured out the stuff we learned in school, I mean,
very different.
It's very different than actual training. And so, after I did my internship, that's when I hit you up about the interview.
And that's worked out famously here. So, but also something you brought up, though, I'm glad you said that, because we as everybody knows, we seriously value education here at Personal Edge Fitness. We don't. Even our interns have to be in their final semester or one of the last 2 semesters of college to be an intern here at Personal Edge, and we don't hire anybody that doesn't have at least a bachelor's degree in the field of either exercise science, exercise physiology, kinesiology, sport medicine, or athletic training, and so we obviously value the education. But what you said a minute ago, we learn the basis. We learn the basics. We learn the anatomy and the physiology and the kinesiology, as far as that goes, in school. And you've got to have that. But there's a big difference between training, what I call training a program, versus training a client. And obviously at Jones, you got that opportunity.
For sure. And another thing Coach Queck really pushed towards me is my passion is youth performance, and just teaching kids how to train, setting them up for an active lifestyle that they can continue throughout the rest of their life. And so he told me, you need to go and get your CSCS, which is Certified Strength Conditioning Specialist.
Yeah, the NSCA certification. It's one of the top 2.
Yeah, and so he's like, you need to make sure you go ahead and get that now. It's only going to get harder when you get out. So go ahead, take the test before you graduate.
Absolutely.
And that was a great piece of advice. Me and a buddy of mine, we went and took the test together, and we both passed it, and we were pumped. And so I went ahead and got that behind my belt, and that way it set me up for coming here. Just really helped kind of solidify the practical side of things as well, because there's a academic and a practical portion on the test that you have to pass. So it's not just about book knowledge.
You stepped into something. We're going to come back to you in just a second, but but we've got I told you you're going to be seeing Charlie a lot more pretty soon. But he just said a minute ago one of his passions, and that is developing programs for kids and what have you. So your approach, we've been training kids ever since we were for 22 years we've been in business. For 32 years I've been personal training. My first client in Mobile was a sophomore in high school. But your approach to this is is very different. We're going to be talking about that in a series we've got coming up. Give us a little taste of what we got coming.
Yeah, so, I've been really excited to talk about this
You
topic.
see the smile just broke out. Yeah, you can say he's excited about it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I've been doing a lot of research since I've been here. I mean, I'll be tucked up in the staff room just on my iPad, just reading articles because it's what I love, and
Right.
selfishly, like, I want to be better. I want to be the best I can be, but
Sure.
also, like, I want to be the best for our clients too.
Of
And I
course.
want to provide them the best service that I can. And so I've been doing a lot of reading about just human development, like what it takes from when a kid is just starting out all the way throughout the rest of their life, well on to adulthood. And so yeah, basically we're going to be breaking down this subject of long-term athletic development, and it's abbreviated LTAD.
Right.
And yeah, I'm really excited about it.
Sure.
It's broken down into a few different stages where each kid goes through different stages of development and what they need during that time.
It's almost like you were describing this to me when we were talking about it, and it's almost broken down to ages. I'm careful saying that because as you and I both know, kids develop at different rates and what have you. But what was neat about it when you were taking me through the steps of the program, we were laying out how we're going to do this podcast, because it's a lot of information. We're going to have to do this through 3 or 4 podcasts, but it grew with the kid. I mean, it was very interesting how it's if you take them through these stages, that's going to be the safest way to have them develop.
For sure. And yeah, it's broken down into age ranges, but like as you said, different kids, they develop at different range or different times, I guess. Right. Some are a little more delayed, but it gives you a rough idea of where they should be at developmentally in that time frame. And so, yeah, I'm really excited to get back on and talk about it some more and break it down. I think a lot of parents can find a lot of value in it, and especially young athletes that are wanting to take their training to the next level to improve their sport. I think it'll provide a lot of value, and they'll get a lot out of it.
Obviously. All right, but in Mobile, what's been going on for you here? Now, you're married. Tell us about Katie.
Yeah, so my wife, Katie, she's the best.
I hear you.
I mean, I love her to death. And so anyway, yeah, we met in Hattiesburg, and she was going to William Carey University at the time.
Oh, okay. I thought that's what you said the mess. I know.
Yeah. So she went to William Carey. Okay. And we actually met through my church in Petal. We were both serving in the college ministry, and we hit it off there. And not long after we met, William Carey goes on trimesters, and so she graduated in February. Sure. We did long distance for a little bit, and then she moved to Mobile. But anyway, so yeah, I'll touch on this. And so I graduated May 4th of 2021.
Okay.
And that same week, it was the busiest week of my life because I graduated May 4th. We had our wedding May 8th, that Saturday, went on the honeymoon, and then when I got back, my first at Monday, I started here. That was definitely the busiest day. I mean, started a life in a new town. So
exactly. So yeah, you actually contacted me like your last semester of school or something like that.
It was in January or something. I mean, I was like, I know I'm gonna need a job in this area, so I better start looking now.
Perfect.
And, it all worked out. But yeah, so we've been in Mobile for a while, and our faith is a big part of who we are, and
kind of coming out to this podcast, you can see that. Definitely.
And what we're about. And so we knew when we moved here, we needed to get plugged into a church and just find that community. And we tried out a few places, and we just didn't really feel like that was where we needed to be.
Sure.
And well, actually, a client here, and this is another God thing. He connected me to the pastor of the church we currently go to, Redemption Church.
Yeah.
He was like, "You remind me a lot of the pastor at Redemption." He was telling me all about him. He's like, "I'm gonna get you his number, and then y'all can talk." And so I called Taylor, and we talked for the phone a while. And I mean, we met up and just started visiting there, and then eventually we joined and became members, and we've found. I mean, that's really been what a big part of what's made us feel at home in Mobile. And Katie's from Pensacola, I'm from Hattiesburg, so neither one of us are from here, but I think that's been a big part of what's made us feel comfortable and really felt connected in Mobile.
Sure. Well, and of course we're very glad it has, and we're very glad to have you here as a part of our team. Also, I want to tell you, and we're going to talk more about this in the program, but Charlie does a lot of our evaluations that we have with kids that come in here, because like he was talking about the different stages, we're going to get real deep into this, but that's what we're talking about the different levels that we have, which aren't age dependent, how a kid develops. We found that out through an evaluation, but you do the same thing with adults.
Yeah. So I mean, the adults as well. I mean, when they come in, there's certain things you're looking for, certain things that might stick out that we as trainers need to pay attention to and work on. And so kids and adults, I mean, I like to always say that kids aren't miniature adults, and so how you train them is going to be different than an adult. But as far as the evaluation process goes, there's always stuff that we need to work on, and stuff that maybe that they're already pretty proficient at, so we can spend less time on. So yeah, the adults as well.
I had to point that out because one of your top athletes happens to be a retired golfer.
Exactly.
He's one of your better athletes.
He's hitting pull-ups and doing, he's up for anything that we throw at him. And so,
of course.
I mean, same with him. I mean, he wants to be better at golf, and so I'm going to try to find as much stuff that can help improve his golf game. And I think we've done a pretty good job, because he's come in a few times hyped up about hitting a really good score. So
believe me, we all hear it.
Yeah.
I promise you. So, hey, look, I'll be here all day because we're going to go right into this LATD. I know we are. So we'll stop for today as far as that goes. But stay tuned, because the very next podcast will be our first podcast on this particular subject, and it is fascinating. If you have young athletes, young kids that are getting into any kind of strength training and developing, you'll really want to hear this series, because this breaks it down like I've never seen it broken down before. So, but thank you for being on the show. I appreciate you joining us, and I look forward to you and I going to be sitting side by side quite a bit coming up. That's for sure.
Looking forward to it.
Look, if you have any questions about this, or your questions for Josh, Josh. The reason I said that is that y'all know Josh. Y'all met Josh in the last staff introduction we had. He's one of our directors, manager of Eastern Shore. I told Charlie when he came on staff that he's the closest person that reminds us of Josh. And then Josh had him go over and work with him in Eastern Shore. You're not getting this guy back. So we had to fight Josh to have Charlie back in here. That's why I made the mistake there. But anyway, you're going to hear a lot about this from Charlie coming up, and you really want to hear the information about this particular podcast. So if you're interested in getting in touch with him or have any questions about that subject, or anything about health and fitness that may be somewhat of a myth or puzzling, please contact us, area code 251-278-3343. That's 251-278-EDGE. You can also reach me at Garrett, Garrett, at personalizedfitness.com, which of course is our website and our Facebook page. Stay tuned for that new podcast coming up, and it's just one more way we help you reach the level of wellness. Thank you for joining us.